Coach, we won't be in Maui or whatever to say aloha under the palm trees sipping pina coladas, but you know who will be? The guys in the Argyle stripes. We're going to talk about it, though, on 94 feet of UNC.
Gordy to Black. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan! Michael Jordan!
Swicker with the defense and the rebound. That's a good effort by Swicker.
Stackhouse streaking in on Park. Rebound dunk is good, and he gets fouled by Park. Oh, my goodness, what a dunk by Stackhouse.
I think that he brought him back so quickly, but you know what? They're down the
no good. Rebound followed by hand throw. Good! Carolina.
Inside 30 overall. Love, top of the key.
Alice, the belt is over. Carolina. The Tar Heels have won the national championship.
And that is it. There is a new team in college basketball. North Carolina takes the title. Happen any final. 2009 national champion. And this year, the confetti is going to fall to North Carolina. They're not going to be denied this time.
What's up, everybody? It is Monday, November 25th. You are tuned in to the 94 Feet of UNC podcast. Of course, I am your host, Lindsay Graham. Of course, I got a special guest in the building with me today. He's back to sit down and chop it up with me a little bit more. I got Coach Bill Robinson, of course. Before we get into everything, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell on my YouTube channel at 94 Feet of UNC so that you don't miss out on any content that I give and provide for you guys. It's a lot of hard work that we put in, or that I put in behind the scenes. So appreciate all the love and support. So make sure you get out and do that. Follow me on my socials, on Twitter, on Instagram at 94 Feet of UNC. And yeah, let's just keep this thing rolling. Got the 94 Feet of UNC podcast merchandise is coming, but that's a whole nother topic that we'll get into a little bit later. My special guest, of course, back in the building with me today is Coach Bill Robinson from the Milligan Buffalo. Coach, I always get it wrong. Forgive me. The Milligan Buffaloes. I'll just say the University of Milligan Buffaloes. So I think that's right, Coach?
That's it. Yep, you got it.
Yeah, that's it. So, of course, Coach is back in the building with me today just to sit down, chop it up a little bit. We're going to get his thoughts on a few things to see what, his thought process on how things have been going. And, a few other things or whatever. So, Coach, what's been going on? How's everything out there? How's the team doing and everything? What we got going on out there?
Yeah, we're doing well. We're 6-2 right now. We're 2-1 in the league. We've only played 2 home games, so 2 of the 8 games at home. We won both of those, so it's going well. I really like my team. We've been playing really well defensively. Haven't shot the ball great. Shot the ball way better at home than we have on the road, but it's again, we next 4 games are on the road again, so road warriors, and that's just part of getting prepared for later in the year. And I think that's kind of what we're going to talk about too a little bit with games at Kansas and the Maui. Obviously, those games are meant to prepare you for March and April.
Absolutely. They say you're only as good as your competition, and of course, if you could beat the competition, then that makes a key statement, or at least play close to the competition. Then that says a lot about, your team as far as, moving forward. And like you said, it gets them prepared for later on, tournament time and things like that. It really gets them prepared for those moments later on in the season. So, hey, congrats to you. 6-2 is a really good record. It's a really good record. Of course, I know you would love to be 8-0, but hey, the competition is there. It's still the beginning of the season, but there's a lot more basketball to be played. So kudos to you, Coach.
we're in a good spot right now. I like my squad. They're working hard, and I'm excited about the rest of the year.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So, Coach, we're gonna let's jump right. Let's get into it. So, of course, we haven't talked. This was during the off season last time that we spoke. We spoke about our expectations for the team this year. You know what the things that we're going to be looking for, the things that we might be a little bit skeptical on. You know, as far as the front court is concerned. What are your thoughts as far as the team up to this point for UNC this season? Like, how do you feel about things, and what have you noticed?
I think the backcourt's been better than we could ever imagine. I know RJ started slow, still leading the team in scoring, but he hasn't shot the ball great. But that's going to come. I think everybody knows he's going to that those numbers will balance out at the end. Elliott's development has been just incredible to me. Not just the shooting, which we were all hoping he would do better, but his ability to get everybody involved. His assist turnover ratio is ridiculous, and his ability to run to play with the pace that they want to play. I think that's what's been such an amazing improvement. Of course, Seth and his ability to shoot the ball now, and him being that third scorer. I don't think anybody saw that coming. We're
Right.
very surprised by that. We all know he's a great defender, probably the best on-ball defender, maybe in the ACC. He's just that type of player. But I don't think anybody expected him to be able to score the ball consistently the way he has so far. The questions are still, what do we get from the big guys? How can we defend, a big monster and a Hunter Dickinson type, who's going to be able to defend that type of player? And of course, Kansas first half was horrible. And then they showed how good we really could be in that second half with just a great comeback. To take the lead after being down 20 in Fog Allen, that doesn't happen there. I think that's why everybody's encouraged too with how good we really could be. But the Maui's going to be, the first game in Hawaii is going to be tough too. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that. But I'd love to be able to see some changes, maybe defensively, to be able to find a way to defend the post as a team, not necessarily individually. And I like to see Jay Wash get some more shots. I like to see Lubin get. Both those guys are shooting a great percentage. I think Jay Wash is over 70% and Lubin's 65% plus. So we'd love to see those guys get more touches.
Yeah. I've noticed quite a bit, of course. Like you said, the backcourt has just been stellar with RJ and Elliott, Seth, whom we knew had the ability to do the things that he's doing now. And it just seems like every year Seth just improves, which we know that, of course. But I think it was a big shocker when he in that scrimmage game, against Memphis. I think that was like a breakout moment for him, hitting 33 points. I forgot what he shot. I forgot the stats and everything, but you can't forget the 33 points that he scored, of course.
It was for
the
17
freshman
percentage was incredible.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The freshman, I will say that I think that the freshmen are starting to come along. Drake has just been incredible. I listened to Coach Davis in his post-conference interview where he mentioned he told a little quick story about, when he was, he got beat off the dribble, and next thing you know, the guy went and tried to score the basket, and Jeffrey was right there and blocked it with two hands, went up and got it with two hands. And we're talking about this was when him and Michael was playing at Washington with the Wizards. And he just said that, to see a 40-year-old, Michael Jordan just go up and grab a rebound or a block or whatever with two hands was just incredible to him. And now we're really seeing that from Drake. It seems like every game he's getting at least one, maybe two in, which is, you can't teach that. That's something that's just unteachable. Like that's just his athleticism, which he is showing. I think his defense, of course, his defense is getting better every game. And his scoring, I think, is going to come. once he, starts to really, by conference play, I think that Drake his full game package will be complete, I think. Now, as far as Ian, Ian has been really, really good. I think I think I would, of course, I would like to see a little bit more from Ian. But again, I understand that he's a freshman. I was actually having this conversation with Rayshawn Terry about it. You know, release the dogs, I guess. That's basically what Rayshawn was saying, that Hubert should pretty much kind of do with the players, because he was saying that, when it comes to Duke, first 3 minutes of the game, Duke intimidates you. They come out, they're dogs. Basically, they intimidate the opposing team. And of course, Rayshawn was saying that, he would like to see that, of course, a lot more, coming from Coach Davis, which, I mean, I think it comes. I just think that it's something that may take a little bit of time before, and we've heard the comments and things like that from Coach Davis as far as, hey, these guys, coach, and the players themselves have said, Coach lets me be me. But sometimes it may look like it might not resonate on the court sometimes, but that it could still be the case. So I just would like to see Ian really get into the Ian that we watched during the off season before the season even started, when in high school, just really being dominant. But of course, that just takes time because of the fact that you have so many other weapons around you. It's kind of like RJ's situation. RJ doesn't have to be the go-to guy this year. So because there's so many other weapons around him. So now it's just really all about putting the pieces together, everybody just really knowing their roles, if that makes sense, I guess you could say, because it's like now, hey, this person could take the shot, this one, whomever, instead of just looking for that one player to really get the ball to score a basket. So I just think that it's the camaraderie is coming together, but I like to see just a little bit more from Ian. And James Brown, like, listen, we'll talk about James Brown a little bit later. No, nothing against him or anything, but I like what he's done so far. And his attitude.
Ian's coming. He's got to get through this freshman first semester type stuff. But again, January, I think you're going to see a totally different guy. I think you'll see his minutes go way up. I love Drake. The defense he brings, the energy he brings, he can make people better without having to even have the ball in his hands. Just his energy and his ability to affect the game on both ends of the court. I love it. But I think, everybody expected Ian to have maybe more of an impact early, but when Seth had probably the best thing this season was RJ not being able to play in that early season game. It made, Seth have to step up and play the way he did. And now, Ian doesn't need to be as good as early. I think that's the best way to say it. You still got that guy. Yeah. They do have a lot of weapons now. I still think when a push comes to shove, they need a big bucket late. They're going to want the ball in RJ's hands just because he's the experience of it all. And I think by that time, he'll be shooting the ball a lot better, and it'll be a lot different. One thing I didn't touch on is the amount of free throws that they've taken early in the year. And they're shooting 85%. I don't think there's an NBA team out there shooting 85%. I know we're small sample size here, but they still have taken a ton of threes. They've made way more than our opponents have taken, and that's an old Carolina staple of making more free throws than their opponents take. So I love to see that trend continue. And with those guys attacking the rim the way they did that second half, the way they did against American, I think you're going to see. The attempts go up, continue to stay up, and I don't see those guys missing a whole lot of free throws. I mean, RJ's the best percentage free throw shooter in the history of Carolina. So that's another point I think is really big. And everybody says, oh, they're so small, they can't do that, they can't rebound. They're still +9. per game.
Right.
So I don't really care. Those guys are going to go get it. They're gonna find ways to rebound. Whether they're big or small, it doesn't matter. They're just going to go get it.
Yeah. So, Coach, now you know, because I didn't even bring up the front court, but I got to go back to our last episode that we talked when we talked, right? Do you remember who my X Factor player was?
I don't, because I don't remember what I did yesterday, but that's okay. Who was your ex? Who was it?
So you remember I said Jalen Withers.
Yeah.
How has he surprised you so far?
Here's the thing about Jay Withers. He's got, if you put his highlight film together of the big moments he has, it's as good as anybody. I just want to see that be consistent. Right now he has been, and that's been great. And I would like to see his minutes go up as well. That's huge when he can make a jumper, when he can be active defensively. And I think there were times last year where he just kind of felt like, well, they don't need me. They've got Mondo. They don't really. So I'll kind of sit in the shadows a little bit. Now that he has to play and he has to contribute and he has to have those big moments, I think you'll see his game get better and better. Athletically, he's got all the tools. He's got everything you need. I mean, Rayshon Terry, you already brought him up. Rayshon was a freak of an athlete, and he did stuff in the weight room that they said nobody ever did. I'm not going to compare him athletically, Withers to him, because nobody's quite as athletic as Rayshon was. But he's close. I mean, he does some things that he can fly around the gym, and he can do some special things for sure.
Yeah. I like I said before the season started, he was my X Factor player. Now I did say, and I guess as they say, I got to eat crow on this. I did say that I wanted him to be more of a defender, more so than an offense guy. So, but he has really surprised me. I still think his defense has been top. I think it, of course, can be a whole lot better, but I think it has really been good. I mean, there was, I went back and I rewatched the American game yesterday, and just seeing him out there, guarding the guards, the small guards that American had. And I mean, he was right there with him. And, of course, I do think that, I mean, there's still a lot more basketball to be played, which means he's only going to get better. And I mean, he's just really been, he has surprised me on the offensive side of things. Defense wise, I think he's been really good. Of course, I think the defense is going to get better. The thing that I really like about him is he's been a little edgy lately. He's been talking on the floor. He's been kind of getting on. There's a couple of times that he, I think got on a couple of the players that, when they missed their spot, during the game. So I mean, when he makes his shots, he gets a little bit, he starts to show a little bit or whatever. So I love the edginess that he has. Once again, I think James Brown also has that, which I think is extremely important for the team, because you're talking about a freshman, coming in on a team where it's like, I don't want to step on people's toes or anything like that, but for a freshman to come in and be able to be edgy, like he was, that from what I heard from the Kansas game, when he went into the locker room and just started getting on the players on the team, with his teammates, I love that, because that, and especially coming from a freshman, like that, I think that is just so key, so important. I think he's going to have a major role, bigger than what people had expected this season. I think he's going to get a little bit more playing time. Washington has just been it's stellar. I mean, of course, that's just going to get better. We're only 3 games in, but just seeing what the team has done within these 3 games, and then facing the adversity that they faced in Allen Fieldhouse against Kansas, being down 20 in the first half, coming back to take the lead in the second half, which does not happen. Like you said, that's Allen Fieldhouse. That's Kansas. I mean, that's it. It says a lot about this team, and it's just making things. I think a lot of the skepticism that a lot of people had for this season, I think a lot of that you're starting to feel it and see that a lot of that is starting to go out of the window. And I think a lot of the fans that had that are really now starting to cater to this team and really believe in this team, and because of the things that they're seeing on and things that they're hearing off the court.
No, go back to James Brown. I love the way he plays. He runs up and down the floor. He needs to gain some weight. He needs to get stronger. But his ability to score right hand, left hand around the rim, and his ability to keep the ball alive, just because he's quick off his feet and be able to tip that ball to himself or tip it to a teammate or just bat it out. He's gonna get some time. They're gonna need some depth at the post position. I think we saw Lubin and his ability to be in there and really be strong and be physical, but he also got a little foul trouble too. So you're going to need somebody behind him and Jay Wash and Jay Withers just to be able to get him to the half. And I think he did a really good job, like you talked about the leadership part of it. Who's that guy who's talking in the locker room? I think right now it probably is Elliott more than we think, more than we know. I think probably behind the scenes because RJ's not that vocal leader, and I think Elliott, now that he's been there, done that. Now he's kind of that, guy with the ball in his hands a little bit more. He's the guy I expect to be able to be able to lead more. But you need that edge guy, and to hear Weathers talking, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, every day, but it's got to be that time of those important moments. You need somebody to step up and say, hey, listen, we got to get our act together. Let's get after it. And it can't be from the coaching staff. It's got to be somebody on the floor. It's got to be somebody in the locker room before the coaches even get there at halftime. And it sounds like that's what that James Brown did. So it's pretty impressive for a freshman, especially first semester freshman. That's pretty incredible.
Absolutely. Like, listen, it's just making things so much more exciting for things to come through during this season. I mean, just looking forward to, like, I look at the way that Carolina is now versus, and I start to think about the full potential of them at the closer to the end of the season. And to me, they're nowhere near what I think they're going to be. But man, it's exciting. So at this point, it's just been so exciting. So, of course, we got to address the elephant in the room, I guess you could say. Cade Tyson. Of course, we have not mentioned him.
No,
what have you seen? Right. What have you seen from him as far as things for him to improve on and things that he has improved on? And what are your thoughts, I guess, with Cade?
The more I saw him this summer, I really thought he was just a standstill, catch and shoot type guy. Started slow, made 3 against American. I don't care who it's against. Let's say, it's mid-major. I don't care. He's making shots from the 3-point line. That's a great sign. So hopefully that'll give him some confidence running here into to the next couple weeks. I think he's more than that now. I think he can defend a little bit. I think he can rebound better than what I anticipated. But I do think he's in that logjam with guys where you play well, you get to play more minutes. You don't play well, you're going to lose some minutes along the way. So I think it's important for him to make some shots. And they need somebody to make some shots other than those 3 guards. So Jay Wash hasn't made a 3 yet. He's only taken a couple. I'd love to see him elevate his game enough to be able to get some more minutes. People have been complaining about Hubert for 3 years, how he doesn't play his bench. Now he's playing 9 guys, 13 minutes, at minimum 13 minutes plus. So he's shown that he's going to open up the bench a little bit. But those guys have to continue to earn minutes. But I see Ian's minutes going up. I see Drake's minutes going up. Where do those minutes come from? Who's going to be, losing minutes because of that? I don't know. I mean, I'm glad I'm not the one making those decisions. It's hard enough.
Right.
We had 17 guys on the roster to start the year, and we're going to redshirt one, and one's going to have surgery, still down to 15. But it's hard to get minutes past that 10, 11, 12. How do you keep those guys engaged if they're not getting minutes? So that's Coach Davis. That's on him, and he's going to have to figure that one out.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you that what I've noticed about Cade is there's a few things that I've noticed. Number one, I don't know if it's just me or not, and of course, this is nothing towards or against Cade or anything. Like I don't ever want people to think that I'm speaking negatively of any of the players or whomever. But I don't know if Cade is flat-footed. But when you watch him, sometimes, like watching that game in person against American and then rewatching it on TV, there was a few times that I forgot the big man's name from American, but he was pushing him down in the post, and I mean, I think what Cade has to figure out and work on a little bit more. Number one, the agility is because of the fact I if I'm not mistaken, I think he's flat-footed. He could be, but then again, he might not be. But you got to when someone is backing you down, you need to probably use more of your body than arms. And I think that that's going to hurt him down the road, because I see him a lot of times, because if someone is really backing him in the post, he gets to using his hands instead of more so his forearm, I guess you could say, to kind of position himself so that he doesn't get back down too far in the paint. And that's going to hurt him a little moving forward, going down the road. I mean, that's going to be a foul every time. I mean, there was so many times that I seen it and I was like, "Ooh," but of course the whistle was never called. Now, as the season goes on and progresses and things like that, you're going to get a call every single time, because that's basically hand checking, I guess you could say. And he's using both hands, and I'm like, ooh, you got to relax on that, because that's going to get you a foul every single time. So I think that's one of the things that in my eyes, that he just has to work on. But overall, I think it's a confidence thing. As like you said, I mean, he hit 3 against American, which was huge. And he tried to hit a few more. I think those were some heat check moments. He tried to hit a few more, but of course they didn't go down. But I think that was big for him. So
yeah, from a fan's perspective, we always talk about making shots. We talk about, can he score? From a coach's perspective, it's who can he guard?
Right.
So it may be nights where matchups are more important for them, thinking, who can he guard? Yeah, he can guard this guy. He's going to get more minutes. Give him an opportunity to make a couple shots. If he does, maybe give him a few more minutes. But there's going to be some nights they might have a hard time finding somebody for him to match up with. And those are nights he's just not going to get a whole lot of minutes, regardless of whether he's making shots or not.
Yeah. Yeah. As much as I hate to say it, I love the catch and shoot for him, because I think that it's just one of them things like, hey, get down the court, find your spot, and when the time is right, if the ball swings your way, it's a catch and shoot moment. Because we saw it in the American game. Hey, when he catches it and shoots it, that thing is going in. It's going in, and I mean, he did it 3 times in a row, basically. So yeah. I like the catch and shoot moments, and I like it for him. But at the same time, I mean, I know Coach Davis is going to want a little bit more, from him. You can't I don't think, just having him as a 3-point shooter is something Coach Davis really wants. I think he wants him to be able to possibly get into the post, get some shots up in the post as well. So I think he's going to come around. And I think now with him having that big game against American, and that's going to boost his confidence. But not only that, it's the team. His teammates are going to also help him improve because now, and Coach Davis and the staff, because now they see, okay, let's do this, let's do that. The only thing I wish that UNC had was a couple of more games, at least 2 more games instead of just 1 before they went to Maui, because I think that really would have helped them going into Maui, which is loaded. Which is loaded.
I think they get a chance to play in Hawaii before the Maui. I think I mean, they're not playing out in California like they did the year they went to Santa Clara and then went from there. It's different. They're going to be able to adjust to the time difference.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be in town. They got their hotel room. They've got, they lay of the land a little bit. So even they'll feel more comfortable come Monday night, just having adjusted even just to the atmosphere and being now it's all of a sudden it's 75 and sunny every day instead of it's freezing cold here right now. It's about 40 and rainy, and it's totally different. So I took my team to Hawaii 2 years ago, and it was over Christmas break. We were right after finals, and it was really that adjustment to the time change is so it's hard to describe, but to get there early and have a couple days to get acclimated, I think is just a huge positive for them.
Yeah, I agree with you because I mean, I've been to California. I've never been to Hawaii, and it's a nice flight from North Carolina. It's a nice little flight, and when you get out there, of course, you got to get adjusted. It took me at least a day just to get adjusted to the time. By the time I got there, I was beat. I was worn out, and it was early evening time. And I was by the time I got there, I was ready to go to bed. But I was still on East Coast time. So, like you said, they're gonna be out there for a few days. So of course that's gonna help them to get acclimated to that West Coast time. So we'll definitely see what happens. And I love the game before Hawaii. I mean, before Maui, I love the game in Hawaii. I just wish that they may have had, the LaSalle game or something like that, another game at home, and then go to Hawaii and then to Maui, because then you get a little bit more, I don't want to call them practice games, but you get a little bit more before you really get out there and start facing some more heavy hitter competitions such as the Iowa States and Auburns and the UConns and things like that. So
learn more
but I'm
about
looking
yourself
to
without the pressure of having to win a big time game. I think that's what you're looking for. That's what you're talking about. It allows you to play deeper. It allows you to play more of your bench. Allows you to still be able to win, but you're controlling every aspect of that game. Hubert's and got to coach against him a couple times with the JV. He's really good at just controlling whatever he wants in a game like that where he has a lead and he can control every set, every defense, every sub. He's a master of that kind of stuff. Just being able to control everything exactly the way he wants to. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand. So it's different when you have that, the Kansas game where you can't control things as much.
Right. So speaking of Maui, Coach, I mean, they are Maui bound. As a matter of fact, I think they're already out there. So how do you this is a very, very tough Maui this year. Like I've seen posts for the Maui for next year. Nowhere near this year's. Like, as a matter of fact, I mean, they should have just canceled the Maui for next year, to be honest with you. I mean, that's just how lackluster it is, right? But for this year, Michigan State, UConn, Colorado, Memphis, whom Carolina has already played, Auburn, Ohio State, Dayton, and of course UNC. It's loaded. How do you feel about this? I tell you, how do you feel about this?
Let me talk about Colorado real quick.
Okay.
And I know everybody's talking about Colorado football, and they should. Deion's done a great job. But Colorado's second leading scorer, you would not know his name. His name is Elijah Malone. And you know why I'm talking about him is because he was the NAIA National Player of the Year last year. So everybody looks at Milligan as being this lower level. Oh, you guys don't play anybody. You guys don't have any great players down there. He was the Player of the Year in the NAIA last year. He's now at Colorado, averaging 14-6, shooting 65%. Just had 27 the other night. We've got some ballers at our level. People just don't understand. And we'll play. We're going to play Western Carolina this year, right before Christmas. We'll play Tennessee Tech right after Christmas. So we've got some ballers at our level. I just wish people would come watch us play, get a better understanding of what the NAIA really is about. But going back to the Maui, I just don't want Carolina to overlook Dayton. I know they're not one of the top teams there, but you still have to take care of game one. You can't be thinking about Auburn or Iowa State or UConn or Michigan State. You just got to think about Dayton right now. Chances are the coaching staff has already prepared scouting reports on everybody there, just in case. You never know. And I think they'll spend more time, obviously, on Dayton, knowing they absolutely are going to play them for sure. And maybe a little bit more time on Auburn and Iowa State because you're sure you're going to play, if you beat them, you'll play one of those. Well, even win or lose, you're going to play one of those two guys. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for anything and that you're not sitting there saying, oh, I didn't expect them to win. Now we're going to try to do a scouting report on that. Plus, you get to see them a little bit in person. You'll be able to sit there on the baseline and get a chance to get some calls and be able to really, just to be able to see them play in person just helps you prepare for them as well. But the Dayton game, to me, I think is just the most important thing. They have to be able to play well that first game. And then it gives them the freedom to, okay, let's just get some momentum. Let's continue to roll. But, I mean, Auburn's really, really good. Iowa State's really, really good. Obviously, if things work out the way we all hope to, it'll be a nice, match with UConn in the championship and a chance to really establish this 24-25 team as being somebody, everybody's got to look out for. So a real special opportunity.
Yeah. I'll say this. UNC, like you said, I think that the Dayton game is probably the most important because the Dayton game can set the tone for them.
Yep.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember who it was that mentioned this, and it made perfect sense. But RJ has been in his scoring slump, I guess you could say, or a little rut right now. But like, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been Isaac. It might have been Isaac. But when you think of playing and scoring and shooting in the Smith Center, it's very different versus shooting in Lahaina. Is it Lahaina? It's Lahaina, right? I think I'm right. If not, everybody knows where I'm talking about. It's where Maui is held. It's very different because Lahaina, I think that's what it is more like a gym. It's more like Cameron Indoor Stadium, I guess you could say. So that could actually pivot RJ scoring and really get it going, I guess you could say, because now it's more enclosed. You're not really in the big Coliseum, the Smith Center, so now, when you get there, the basket, the court, everything will start to look a little bit different. You can start getting into your flow of things. So I totally agree with you. Dayton definitely sets the tone for a lot of the rest of the game. So that is important. And Dayton is not a slouch team at all. Like, if anybody is thinking that, then they are mistaken for sure. Like, they are clearly blind to who Dayton is. So, the people need to go back and do a little research on Dayton. I mean, they're playing some solid basketball right now. They really are. So I will stay Auburn, which I don't want to move too far ahead, but like you said, they're going to end up playing one of them. But I think that's once again, that's great competition to prepare them for later on in the season. Like you said, Auburn is playing extremely well right now. I think everybody didn't expect that from them, the way that they're playing. And Iowa State that's Iowa State. I mean, you don't know what you're getting from Iowa State. And that's not to say that you're getting anything bad from Iowa State. Like, they're either going to come out and like just go on a crazy scoring spurt, or they're going to score in so many different ways. Like, they're a tough team to beat. So, but a lot of people are looking at UConn. Like, I've had a lot of people reach out to me saying, hey, I want UConn in the championship. And I'm like, listen, you got to get past some of these other ones first. And let's be clear. It's not UConn don't have an easy path. I mean, we've seen what Memphis can do if they can really get things together. We've seen what Michigan State can do when they played against Kansas. I actually had Michigan State winning that game, and a lot of people thought it was going to be a blowout, and here they only got beat by 8 points against Kansas. So Michigan State is not a slouch team either. Colorado, I can't say that I've followed enough about them, but I don't think they're a team to play around with either. So Maui is just, oh man, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be a great environment for all the teams, all the players. It's going to be a great experience. And I mean, you just got to be prepared for some physical up and down the court type basketball, I guess you could say, to say the least.
Yeah, my personal feelings about RJ shooting it really has nothing to do with the physical. Like, his routines are probably the same, if not more. His form is nothing wrong with it. I think it's the pressure of now. He and Armando were together. He always had somebody else. He knew, that there was another guy there to carry that load. I think the pressure early on has got, like, feeling like he's got to carry the whole weight of the team. I'm hoping that the way Elliott's played and the way Seth has played will just allow him to relax and go play. We've also had guys in their senior year or their last year of eligibility start thinking about what's next. At our level, they're thinking about jobs or marriage or, those type of things. Just maybe getting to the graduation, just getting to the stage. With RJ, I think he knew the possibility of coming back this year was great. So he knew last year was not necessarily his last year in college. He may just be soaking it all up and just enjoying this time and thinking, boy, this is my last time. This is going to be my last this, my last that. And mentally, that can wear on you if you just got to focus and just go play. And if I'm coaching him right now, that's what I'm talking about, man. Just forget about all this nonsense. Forget about all the outside noises. Just go play. You've played this game your whole life. You've enjoyed the game your whole life. Just let it flow and go play.
Yeah. And just so that everybody knows, you can't sleep on Hawaii.
No, right.
I mean, that's right before Maui. You cannot go into Hawaii and play them, but thinking about Maui. Like, I think a lot of people are overlooking and they're thinking that that's just a given type win. But no, I mean, anybody can get beat on any given night. And if Carolina is not careful, then you got to then you're going to face some things that
they've got a proud tradition there. They're very proud of their state. They're very proud of their athletic team, and this is their university. And their people come out and they support them, and it's not going to be an easy place to play. So it's one of those things where they're going to have to play. They got to play well, and it's going to be a little bit different atmosphere than what maybe they're used to. It's just going to be very unique. So you can't overlook it. You got to play every day as if it's a big time game.
Yeah. I tell you one thing, Coach. I am glad that, if I'm not mistaken, I am glad that one player is not going to be there this year for Hawaii playing the Tar Heels. And I think you might know who I'm talking about, but I think he finally graduated and everything. So, and of course, that's Justin McCoy. But now,
reunion games, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean. And I'm not going to lie, just following him on Instagram and seeing how he's been, Justin looks really good. I mean, he's been playing some basketball lately. Like I've seen some really good highlights from him. Like he's a totally different player. You wouldn't recognize him as far as his game. From where it is now versus when he was at UNC. So yeah, I'm a little happy that UNC doesn't have to face him, I guess, or whatever. So, Coach, I do have a trivia question for you, and I'm sure you know the answer to this. There are 3 MVPs that from UNC. There are 3 players from UNC that got MVPs at Maui. Do you know who they are?
I could guess, but I really don't know. I would think Sean May might be one.
Oh
no,
oh,
I really.
I thought you.
No, I'm not a big trivia. Really not.
Okay, all right. Raymond Felton in 2004.
Yep.
Ty Lawson in 2008.
Yep.
And Joel Berry in 2016.
It's 3 pretty special guards right there.
You know what all 3 of them have in common, right? They all went on to win a national championship.
Exactly.
Yeah. So is this the year? Could it be a Elliot Cadeau? Could it be a RJ Davis? Just something to throw out there for the fans. But I wanted to ask you that, but I'm really surprised you didn't know that, Coach. Like I guess I could have said each one of these players won a national championship at UNC, but then that would have just made it so much easier for you.
Yeah, I knew it was championship years. And, that's one of those things. Maui has always seemed to lead into something special for the Heels, but I didn't remember who the MVPs were.
Yeah. Well, it's okay, Coach. We're not gonna hold you to that. We are not gonna hold you to that. So, Coach, I gotta ask you. Been reading this book. There's a couple of things that I wanted to see if you could elaborate a little bit more on, right?
Yep.
For all those that don't know, please make sure that you go out and get Carolina Basketball School History, Stories, and Drills. I got to make sure I get it right, Coach. I don't want to skip anything or say anything wrong on this. So I was reading these, and I'm, like I told you, I am 75% through the book. Just had a whole lot going on, Coach. I apologize. I really do. But there's a couple of stories or a couple of things that I wanted you to elaborate on. So one of them was the story about Coach Williams. It's chapter 7, which is fired.
Yes.
So I read this, and Coach Williams played a little joke, I guess you could say, if you know who I'm talking about with Coach Kruk is Kruk, right?
Joe Kruk.
Yes. So Coach Williams played a little story, played a joke on him, and it also got Coach Guthridge involved in it. Break down to me how this really happened. I mean, I know the book explains it, but I want to know, like, what was going through your mind when you heard this, like this story, I guess you could say. Like, and I mean, of course, for those that don't know about the story, just give them a little quick breakdown or rundown on it.
First of all, you really have to know who Joe Kruk is. His brother John played in the Major League Baseball, played for the Phillies and White Sox. He's the announcer for the Phillies now, and he might be the funniest person. He's just a super funny guy, but Joe's funnier. And so he's always kind of quirky. He's always got something going on. And he and Coach Williams were friends when Coach Williams was the high school coach at Owen. He was the high school coach at Anka. So they knew each other. They were friends. So that allowed Coach Williams to kind of maybe feel more comfortable in doing something like this. But Coach Williams going on to be the GA at Carolina. and invited Joe to come work camp. Joe's working camp. He's a gym head, and he's got this one kid that just will not listen, will not pay attention, and he just was just having troubles with this kid and tried everything he could. And the kid finally said, "I just don't want to be here anymore." And Joe's like, "Well, if you don't want to be here, why don't you just call your parents and have them come pick you up?" And they did. And
Right.
of course, he had talked to Coach Williams about this kid already, about what I should do. So they had all these discussions, and finally got to the point where the kid just needed to go home. Well, at this time, they're raising money for the Smith Center.
Mhm.
So Coach Williams was like, "Well, hey, did you hear about the kid that you sent home? You know, his family had pledged $50,000 to the Smith Center." Now Joe's mortified. He's absolutely mortified. If I had known that, I would have let him stay. Oh, I didn't know, and now he's feeling awful. So he runs into Coach Guthridge later that day and says, "Coach, I am so sorry. I had this kid. I had to send him home, but I feel terrible about the $50,000." And Coach Guthridge is like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, family had pledged $50,000 for the Smith Center." He's like, "Well, first of all, $50,000 is not a big deal. Not when you're raising the money to build, an arena like that. And second of all, it never happened. And we've got the money. Don't worry about it, Joe." And Joe looked back at Coach Williams, and Coach is just laughing. So it was just, it's the little things like that when you have a relationship, with Coach. And Coach Williams has got a great sense of humor. Not too many people get to see it, but when he's behind the scenes, he's really a funny guy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So you could always tell that. I mean, because a lot of people seem to think that Coach Williams might just be this serious guy all the time. Like, so a lot of the times it might be, it's just the expression on his face. But reading a lot of the stories in the book, it just really just opens you up, and it gives you a clear perspective on Coach William and his character and his sense of humor, which is I think that's to me, it explains like some of these gifs and memes that you see out here with him walking into the locker room dancing, with the teammates and things like that. Like, when you read some of these stories, then you understand why that's happening in those gifts and those memes, as far as him walking into the locker room dancing with the players. So
When you see him,
that was
see him on the sideline and seeing him win championships and stuff, you forget that he's human. You forget that he's
right,
got a side to him. The first time I
right,
found out that he couch in his office because he took naps before games, I thought, man, maybe that's what I should be doing, because he's human. He needed a nap on game day, and I
right.
never thought about when they designed his office. He's got where Hubert is now, but they had a little alcove area, and he had a couch and a bathroom that was his, and he could just shut the door and get a quick 45-minute power nap in. And you just don't think of Coach Williams being human, but he is very much so. I've never seen
Yeah,
anybody have a switch like his. He could turn it off, turn it
right.
on, being joking around and being serious, and then right back and joke around again. And it's just fun to be around.
Yeah, yeah. And it's you can see that it resonates in Coach Davis as well.
Hmm.
Like, Coach Davis has his serious moments, but you can also see where Coach Davis has a great sense of humor, and I mean, he's human in everything as well. And once again, going back, talking to a lot of the players from in the 90s to 93 championship team and things like that, such as Brian Reese and Pete Chilcutt and all of those guys, listening to those Dean Smith stories, it just lets you know, like, for so many decades, that look at the history of Carolina, like, as far as the coaching is concerned, nothing has changed. And we're talking 50 plus years, like, from Coach Smith all the way up to Coach Davis. Coach Smith, Coach Guthridge, Coach Williams, Coach Davis. All four of them have one thing they have a few things in common, but the one big thing that they all have in common, which is incredible, is none of them curse. Not one of them. And we're talking about 50 plus years if you add all of it up. Like, that's incredible. That is incredible. And I tell people all the time, if you're not a Tar Heel fan, just do the history.
Yeah,
And look,
exactly.
just research the history on UNC, even if you're not a fan, but you'll respect it a lot more. A lot
Yeah.
more.
I teach a coaching for character class. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
class. We just talk about topics and very little tests or quizzes or anything like that. We just want to talk. We talk about being a transformational coach versus being a transactional coach. Those guys are all transformational coaches. They're trying to develop character in men. They want to win, but they're trying to develop people as they go along. It's not a transaction. It's not business. Now, there's a
Right.
business side. At the same time, they're more interested in what can I do for you instead of what can you do for me. And that's the difference in the whole Carolina philosophy. And I've got a real quick story I tell about the difference between Carolina and Duke. But I got a tour of Duke's facility one time at a buddy of mine who was working camp, and he took me to the offices, and I said, "Well, where's Coach K's office?" Like, "Oh, he's on the next floor. Nobody's allowed up there." Okay. Went into Carolina's office a few years later, and I'm sitting in the lobby, and I look down the hallway, and you can see Coach Williams' office. There's a bunch of people down there. And I'm like, man, he
Yeah.
must have a big time recruit down there. There's a ton of people. When I started walking back, there are a bunch of little kids. And he walks into the lobby area and says, all right, let's get a group picture. They got a group picture. Who wants individual pictures? Everybody got individual pictures. And at the end of it, he says, does everybody have what you want? Does everybody have what you need? Thanks. And he walks back to his office, and the group leaves. And I look at the secretary, and I said, Cynthia, who is that? She said, oh, that's swim camp. I said, what? She said, that's swim camp. They wanted to meet Coach Williams. So swim camp could just come in and meet Coach Williams? They're like, oh, yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking Coach K's on his, second, whatever, top floor, and nobody can get to him. But yet Coach Williams allows, and that to me, that's the difference. It's about people. It's about relationships. And that's why I'm a Carolina fan. That's why I wrote the book. It's all about relationships.
Yeah. Listen, I have my own thoughts on Coach K. The not taking anything away from his accolades on the court, but
Not at all.
Off the court, very arrogant, self-centered, cocky, and I could just go on and on or whatever, but that's a whole nother story. We're not here to talk about Coach K. So, but yeah, I have my own thoughts on him. So, Coach, two more quick things real quick. Because I found now these, speaking of Duke, let's just say that, right? A lot of people don't know that there are two. Well, one of them is from Duke. There's two, but there's another one that has some UNC ties somewhere that I did not know about. So I'm speaking about Sean Miller, the Xavier head coach, and I'm speaking about Johnny Dawkins.
Yeah.
Both
Sean Miller as a little kid was touring the country doing these ball handling exhibitions and came to Carolina camp and did his own little, teaching the kids how to do all the different tricks with the balls and all those stuff. Kids don't do that anymore. They're more focused on shooting the basketball. But I don't think we have kids that just sit down and will go to the gym and spend a half an hour and not take a shot. But Sean Miller was that type of kid. I think he was on Johnny Carson, if I'm not mistaken. He was that little protege as a kid. His dad was a coach, obviously, and that's what he loved to do. So he got his little taste of Carolina camp as a little kid. And then the Johnny Dawkins story was pretty funny. I think people don't realize that if you ask Coach Williams, who the biggest rivalry is, he still says NC State. He hates NC State more than he hated Duke. And those Duke rivalry didn't really happen till later on. So there was a year when Johnny Dawkins was playing and they're getting ready to play the alumni game. And Bill Guthridge is introducing the guys as they're shooting layups. And then, okay, here's so-and-so, and Johnny Dawkins. And Johnny Dawkins just came over to play pickup and ended up being playing in the alumni game. And it was a good enough relationship where it was not a big deal. Those guys would come over and play in pick up with those guys all the time, and they knew each other pretty well. I had a rivalry in college and with 20 minutes apart, and we hated each other, according to everybody. But it was the fans who hated each other. We all got along, so much so that one of those guys that I played in back in 1989, his son plays for me now.
Right.
because we became friends and, we had mutual respect. And I just don't see, again, the Boozer twins is a good example of it. It's hard to see, Duke players, kids coming to Carolina. It just doesn't seem right.
Right. So, I've heard some stories from a lot of the players behind the scenes, and like you said that the players have relationships with each other.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
it's the fans
Hate each other.
that hate each other. Like I've heard stories where UNC players were over on Duke campus. Duke players were over on UNC campus, but it's all because of they have relationships with each other off the court.
Yeah.
Which is
And
to me
social media has allowed those guys to get to know each other a lot better, a lot easier than it was. We didn't have cell phones back in the 80s, so it made it hard to have any kind of communication. Now it's easy and you connect and make friendships, and nobody really knows what's going on. But it's neat to see those relationships kind of come together. I just don't want to see it on the court.
Right. And it kind of, because I forgot who the player was that I was speaking to about it, because I mean, I've just spoken to so many different people and just have heard so many different stories. But a recent story that I know of is, you take, for instance, Armando Bacot, RJ Davis, and Jeremy Roach, who's now at Baylor. They all they're close friends, all of them.
Yep.
And a lot of it is, once again, it's off the court, behind the scenes. But I don't think a lot of people know also that Armando, RJ, and Jeremy also had the same agent, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of, if you got the same agent, you're running in the same type circles, to me, of course. So, it just really just shows that, these players can really come together like that and really, just really have a total different relationship than what it may seem and look like on the court.
Well, the Chris Jenkins, Marcus Page story is worse than that, I think. And the fact that Chris Jenkins hits the shot to win a national championship and then sleeps on Marcus Page's couch for the next week.
Yeah.
And people know that. They're sitting there going, oh, they must hate each other because, they were living together, for that last, because he came to, to visit his brother and ends up sleeping on Marcus's couch for a week right after beating him in the championship. But guys, it's basketball and it's friendships, and, it's just the way, guys are.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I wouldn't want to coach girls because I think they would hate each other for life if something like that happened. But guys can get past. So kind of like the Wes Miller Ty Lawson fight, that's in the book.
Hold on, coach, because that was the last one. That was the last one that I wanted to ask you about. Because I found that. Oh man,
crazy.
But matter of fact, let's get right on into it. Please tell me about this Wes Miller Ty Lawson story.
We're sitting there. There's probably 50 coaches there, and usually the guys will behave themselves a little bit. But Ty was just killing Wes, and there's nothing Wes could do except pull, grab, tug, push, shove, doing everything he could to try to stay in front of him, to try to guard him. And Ty finally just had enough, and they're standing on the baseline right in front of us, and they set a screen, and Wes has got him wrapped up, just holding him, and he turns and just two hands shoves Wes and comes off the screen to the top of the key, and Wes got his balance and chased him and tackled him at the top of the key. I mean, just tackled him, and they're on top of each other, and Deion Thompson's at the top and behind him, yelling, I love it, because just the intensity, and even in a pickup game in the middle of June, these guys are really getting after each other. And literally, they separated them. They walked back to the same exact spot. You good? You good? Yep. All right, let's go. Check ball. And they just played. And both of them learned, hey, I'm not going to take this anymore. You're not going to keep pulling me, grabbing me. So I've let you know my message. And I got the message. I got it. Good. All right. But we're still teammates. We got to go play.
Yeah.
So, so
And
that's what I love about it. Family fights, but yet family can forgive each other too and just move on.
that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. It's all family. Like
Yep.
family, that's just what family is gonna do. So
Yep.
I mean, but to see that, but guess what it probably did to both of them. Number one, it made both of them stronger.
Yeah.
Both of them, like mentally and probably physically. I mean, that's just what it is, because for going through something like that, of course, your mindset is going to be like, you know what, I'm not taking this no more. So that's the mental tough side of it. The physical side of it is someone like Wes Miller, who was what, 5'10", maybe 6 foot, maybe something like that. Ty Lawson, what, 6'1", 6'2", something like that. And of course,
They're both about 10, if to be real. But I mean, Ty was not that big either. But they always list him a little bit taller. But both tough. I mean, competitors. They both loved to win, hated to lose, and I think that was part of it too. Neither one of them. I mean, Wes probably having a tough night that night. Just was not going to go down without a fight. Literally, not go down without a fight.
Yeah, and listen, I've watched a couple of podcasts, or I watched one podcast with Ty Lawson was on it, and Ty was just like, listen, that's when I found out that Ty was he was trying to be a football player. So I mean, I can imagine how strong he was. The only thing that really pushed him to the court was the fact that he went out there, he saw a couple of players, like, this is just in practice, but they was like really trying to knock each other's heads off. And his thing was, nah, I'm good on the field or whatever. I'm gonna go over here to the court. Like, y'all out here really trying to kill each other. I ain't got time for that. Like, but Ty is solid. Like, he's strong. So I can imagine him pushing Wes around like that. Like, Wes, he was nowhere near Ty's size, like nowhere near it. So, but that was when I read that story, I was just like, wait a minute. But at the same time, once again, it just goes back to that word family, and for them to be able to go right back to playing, checking on each other, making sure that you're good, wasn't nothing physical or anything like that, or wasn't nothing, I would say, maybe too deep to dig into or anything like that. It was just competitiveness.
Yeah, no lines were crossed, no bridges burned. You just got to compete.
Yeah, beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Yep.
So I love this. So I'm almost there, Coach. I'm almost there. I'm on chapter 9. I had, because I find stopping points. I got to find stopping points and things like that. So I'm on chapter 9, the dorm staff. But listen, this book is incredible. We could sit here all day long and just talk about a lot of the things in this book, like, and stories. And I mean, from Eddie Fogler to I mean, it's just, it goes on and on and on and on. This is a great book. If you have not picked it up, if you have not read it, please do so. Please do so. The link for this book will be in the description. Of course, it's a great book to have. Carolina Basketball School, History, Stories, and Drills by Coach Bill Robinson. Amazing stories in this book. If you want to know a lot about, as I tell all my fans, all you fans out there, if you want to really know about a lot of the Carolina history, this is the book. This is the book that's going to lead you to so many other things. Like, you'll be surprised of the lockers, I guess you could say, doors that it opens for you to get a clear perspective on Carolina basketball. So please make sure y'all pick this up. If I'm not mistaken, Coach, you still doing the autograph copies?
Yeah, absolutely. My email is wdrobinson@milligan.edu, Milligan. And if you just email me, I'll send you a copy and sign it to whoever you want to. Great Christmas gift, fits in the stocking. So I think the last 3 chapters are my favorite. So I think you still got the best is yet to come for you.
Absolutely. Like now that you done told me that, you see, you pushing me and forcing me to get to it now, Coach. Because see, now that you done mentioned that part, it's like, oh yeah, I got to get to it. If Coach is telling me that those are the best ones, so I definitely got to get that. And I probably need to get a couple of signed copies from you because I need to get one for myself. I have 2 copies. This would be my study copy, and then I have the other one that I might frame it. But I'm gonna get one for my father too. I want to get one for my father. So, but
sounds good.
You know, we'll make that happen, Coach. We'll definitely make that happen. So, listen, Coach. It was one thing that I wanted to ask, but it's done totally slipped my mind. Totally slipped my mind. So, but I will say this: the UNC's record after Maui. As far as just the Maui is concerned.
I think they'll go 2-1 in Maui. I think they'll lose one in Maui. I don't think they're going to be champs. I don't think they're quite ready for that right now. I think they're going to be playing their best basketball end of February, beginning of March. So that's my personal feeling. I think they're going to go 2-1. I'm not going to say who they're going to play, but I think that's what. And I think Hubert would be okay with that. I think it's the experience of going to Hawaii and whatever all the experiences that they'll do. I think they'll try to do some fun things while they're out there too, and let the guys enjoy what Hawaii is all about. I don't know that for sure, but that's what we did. We did the Pearl Harbor tour, and we did a luau, and just we want to experience what the Hawaiian culture is too, so the guys can see what the rest of the world's like. And I imagine because of Coach's philosophy on wanting them to experience things, that they'll investigate some of those other type of activities.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's a 2-1 situation, which, like you said, I'm fine with that, because it's just giving this team a lot more to build off of and to get better, to grow. I will say this before we get out of here. I watched the Marquette Purdue game, and I will say, because Marquette doesn't have that big post presence either, like they did last year with Oso Iguodala. But Marquette, of course, they beat Purdue, but they played a different style. I mean, they just put pressure on on Purdue. I mean, from full court to half court, it was just pressure, and you know. That's a style, like Isaac said on Locked On Tar Heels, that hey, that could be something that Coach Davis could look into as far as, you know, a play style that could totally benefit them, especially with the weapons that they have getting out in transition, which is huge for this team. So
Marquette also Ben Gold, the big redheaded kid from New Zealand. His older brother plays for me. His brother Sam Sam plays for me, but Ben's older brother. So we kind of look at Marquette games, and we always like to watch them too, because we're still rooting for Ben. So it's kind of a cool family tie.
Yeah, that's really dope right there, Coach. Like, never knew that, but that's really dope. And it, you know, just the fact that I mentioned Marquette, and then you come with the whole rebuttal, like, his brother.
The older you get, the smaller the world gets. It just gets smaller and smaller every day. But
that is true. So listen, Coach, I definitely, of course, I appreciate you. I know you've been busy, you know, with the team. Of course, we and me and my wife, we've been talking. So we still gonna make that trip. We still definitely gonna make that trip out there or whatever. But I know that you are coming to Chapel Hill soon, if I'm not mistaken, next month, right? Isn't it?
We're still trying to figure that all out, depending on scheduling and stuff. But our JV is scheduled to come March 1st to play towards the end of the season. So we're still working all that. But I do want to get down and see a game sometime over break. So if I do, I'll let you know.
Absolutely. Definitely keep me in mind, Coach, so that we can definitely link up and
connect.
Get a chance to watch some UNC basketball for sure. So I totally appreciate you taking out the time out of the busy schedule that you have, of course, to come back in and chop it up with me here at the Zell Dome, of course. But when I finish this, now I got to come back for part 3. Like I gotta, because I'm sure I'm gonna have some more stories. So you already know I'm gonna reach out to you and just let you know, like, okay, got a few more that we need to talk about. So when can we put some things together? So absolutely. So appreciate you. And like I said, for all the fans, Coach's information will all be in the description below, where you can purchase the book on Amazon. How much is it on Amazon again, Coach?
I think it's $24.99 on Amazon.
Okay.
I think that's what paperback is, but you can get it's on Kindle, and the hard copies are a little bit more, but it's a good read. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the main thing about it, it's worth it.
Yeah. It's $22.99. $22.99 on Amazon. They wanted me to charge a little bit more. I didn't want to do it, but yeah.
I got you.
It's fun. It's continuing to grow. And it's just a project that I spent 6 years on. So a lot of my heart's in it. And I just think it's really, if you're a Carolina fan, I think you'll think it's great.
Absolutely. So I listen, I got some other things in mind, but we'll talk off air about some things for sure. I just came up with some things that I got in my head here or whatever. But like I said, we'll definitely talk off air about it or whatever. But Coach, I truly appreciate it. Appreciate you stopping by. Of course, it's always a good day to talk Carolina basketball, and of course, to have a legend such as yourself stopping through, taking out the time, of course, to talk to little old me. Like, I'm a little guy. But hey, it is what it is. Like, we still trying to grow out here, man, and take this thing to new levels and new heights or whatever. But I appreciate you being a part of everything and just being on this journey with me, supporting me, and it's much appreciated. So absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Look,
Absolutely. That is Coach Bill Robinson. So Coach, we definitely gonna chop it up again soon. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and just stay tuned for the next show. And until then,